somebody shares your name here.
I know, it's unusual.
Kind of like my last name, you don't see that too often either.
Okay, you're ready when you're ready.
All right, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Planning Commission. Can we do a roll call?
Liberty Avila,
Here.
Matthew Gowerty,
Here.
Dave Felly,
Here.
Max Koltov is absent, Gary Lillard.
Here,
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
There's not. So when you get to the public comment piece, anyway, do you want to introduce the city manager?
Okay. Sounds great. And can we consider approving the minutes of the September 9th, 2025 meeting?
I didn't see any problems with it.
Make a motion?
Yeah, I move we approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second, I think you were there, so all in favor? Aye.
as I noted, I'm abstaining since I wasn't here.
I'm also abstaining. It's not gonna be a problem.
No, it'll be fine since you're all here.
All right, so we've got a public comment time, and I think we're going to introduce the city manager.
Yeah, John's already kind of introduced himself. This is John O'Brien. He's our city manager, and he's going on his 8th week now. So.
Tomorrow will be officially 7.5. So thank you for letting me join you guys. I'm not here to try and interrupt or cause any difficulties with you guys. I just want to get a chance to get to know each of the committees and commissions that we work with. I'm hopeful that I can be of value to you and anything you guys might be working on in the future, now or in the future. And then, unless you have any, I guess, real questions of me, I will put in a little bit of a plug. Are you guys all tracking or aware of our community town hall we're doing tomorrow night? So if you're able to be there, it'd be great. You guys as well. If you're able to be there, it'd be great. We'll be doing it right here. But I think it'll be the feeling I'm getting right now would be a pretty successful event. So maybe I'm just hopeful too. So.
I'm assuming Robert is officially done at this point.
He's technically on the books still, but he's on terminal leave.
Right.
And so yeah, he's for the most part finished.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, so we have a public comment time also for folks who are here to speak on something that's not on the agenda, so it's not for an application. Is everyone here to speak about an application? Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, so we can go ahead with the public hearing. All right, so we'll open the public hearing for a variance file number 02-VAR-25. Can we get the rules of order?
The Planning Commission will conduct 3 quasi-judicial public hearings tonight to consider a variance permit file number 02-VAR-25, applicant Scott Bailey, a conditional use permit file number 02-CUP-25, applicant Nerd Mentality, and a subdivision variance permit file number 01-SCB-25 and 03-VAR-25, applicant True Construction. The hearing will proceed as follows. The chairperson will request a staff report which includes applicable criteria and standards for the issue under consideration in the application. As part of the staff report, the applicant may have the opportunity to address the commission prior to public testimony. The chairperson will then ask for public testimony relating to the application. The chairperson may state a time limit for testimony. If no time limit is announced, testimony will be limited to 3 minutes. All testimony must be directed toward the applicable criteria. Oregon land use law requires that all issues raised by a participant during the hearing must be sufficiently clear and specific to allow the hearing body and other parties an opportunity to respond to those issues. Failure to raise issues during the hearing may invalidate a future appeal. The order of testimony this evening will begin with that of proponents, those in favor, followed by opponents, those opposed, and ending with those neutral. An opportunity will be provided to parties, proponents first, then opponents, to clarify any issues raised or to rebut testimony. If additional documents or new evidence is introduced during the hearing, any participant may request a continuation of the hearing. Any participant may request that the hearing record be kept open for 7 days to submit additional written evidence or testimony for the purpose of responding to new evidence. Unless waived, the applicant has 7 days to submit a written response. The proceedings are being electronically recorded to be converted to written minutes. When testifying, please step to the podium and state your name. Members of the Planning Commission may ask questions of the staff or hearing participants if present at any time. The chairperson will then close the hearing or continue the hearing at a specified time and place. All decisions must be based on findings of fact from the staff report or evidence and testimony received which relate to the criteria of the land use decision. A commissioner must declare any ex parte or pre-hearing contact, including the person's name and the nature of the discussion, as well as any site visitations to the area in question. Commissioners should declare any personal or financial interest in this matter and may disqualify themselves from participation in this hearing. Does any commissioner wish to make a declaration? Let the record show there are none. Does anyone in the audience wish to challenge the right of any commissioner to hear this matter? Let the record show there are none.
Thank you. Mike, can we get a staff report?
Yeah, so this is a fairly simple request on my end anyway. This is a property that's located over by Rendezvous RV Park on kind of north west of there off of Watson Road. Michelson Drive is a private driveway. While it does have a road name, it is a private drive that serves, I believe, 6 or so properties. Most of those properties, if not all of them, are on a well and septic, and they're grandfathered in with that service. The applicant's property has a failed system, and they're in the process of wanting to put a house on the property, which triggers a requirement to connect to city services for all new dwellings. And the variance that is before you is being requested by the applicant because they are not physically able to connect to city services. All of these properties on Michelson Lane are landlocked and are essentially kind of held hostage or captive by the folks that front on Watson Road, and the easement that accesses their property is for roadway purposes only. It doesn't allow for utilities, and the properties that are adjacent to Watson Road refuse to provide that service. Our Public Works Director has gone out and visited with property owners and received the same response from them. And so with that, the applicant is seeking your approval for a variance so that they can replace their septic system with a new system that is DEQ approved. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got questions. So, how did we end up allowing development of properties that don't have access for utilities?
These all predate, I mean, I think these all came into the city's urban growth boundary. They're not in the city limits, they're in the urban growth boundary. And they predate city jurisdiction. And so these are not properties that the city is allowed to construct and install well and septic. We kind of inherited those as from a jurisdictional standpoint.
From the county?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like a bad way to develop. I don't know. So is the roadway right away required for them to have developed this property?
Well, as a county, I mean, it's an easement, so it's a driveway easement.
Right.
And
Would the county not let them develop this without the road easement?
I would assume that's correct. I mean, under today's standard, the county requires you to actually build a county road to access property, and so this probably predates a lot of those county rules. Because this is only I think a 20-foot wide easement that serves all 6 of these properties, which is even substandard under county code.
Is the applicant here today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you want to say anything about your application?
Well, just that I hope it's approved. We've been working on this place for years now, and we've upgraded everything to standards so far, and we'd like to do the septic that way, where at least we meet all the codes and don't have to worry about any environmental pollution or anything like that.
And you can improve our property.
So we can improve it too, get a house on there and stuff.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for the applicant? Is anyone here to provide public testimony on this application? Okay. All right, so commission discussion?
But it seems very routine to me. I mean, yeah, looks fine.
Yeah, I thought it was straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. Me too, so pretty straightforward. Someone want to make a motion?
I move the finding of fact and conclusion set forth in the draft decision order be adopted and that the variance be approved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, or you can sneak out. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, we will open the public hearing for the conditional use permit, file number 02-CU2-25. The rules of order were already read. Are there any other commissioner declarations and challenges? Or does anyone want to declare anything? Anyone want to challenge any of the commissioners to this matter? Okay, awesome. Mike, can you give a staff report?
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through this one in as much detail as the staff report has. So this is Nerd Mentality, and they are proposing to change the use of the space within this building from a public education use to a community recreation use. That requires a conditional use permit. It is in a medium density residential zone, which is kind of designed and intended for housing. The building on this property is unique in that it's a former elementary school. In your packet, there's information on the space they intend to use. There's a floor plan to kind of show how that's going to function. The important piece for my review was mostly dealing with parking, and so I've pulled that section of the staff report up for you. Just based on the math and how they're utilizing the space, they have 24 total required parking spaces for this particular use that of this space. There's 34 on-street parking spaces that are adjacent to the building off of was it Z Avenue and then off of 3rd Street that essentially are kind of pull-in spaces. All of the other frontage, the frontage on 2nd Street and on Y Avenue are parallel on-street spaces. Are not really functioning as spaces devoted to this property, but just general public parking spaces. Regardless, they have a requirement for 24 spaces. There's 34 on site. The Parks Department operates a program during the summer months, and they need only a couple of those spaces to accommodate their staff and the users that visit their facility or their program or drop off. And so they don't need parking to accommodate the students that participate in those. So anyway, there's 8 surplus parking spaces available on the street, which is the magic number I was looking for. Is anything greater than 0 is fantastic. So with that, they meet all of the requirements for the use of that space. And so really the focus of this conversation is compatibility with the neighborhood and being entirely inside the building. And it's more of a kind of a recreational gaming type use that I wouldn't envision any external impacts aside from vehicles coming and going. And so, which is pretty characteristic of that area anyway. So that's with that. Do you have any questions?
is the community application use, was that the community use? So,
Yes. I mean, it's still a conditional use permit in that zone, but that's the former use.
So it's not particularly relevant, but for my continuing education, what is a manga?
It is a Japanese comic book.
Come.
Oh, okay. Pokemon, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Nailed it in one.
All right, great. Any other questions for Mike? Who are the applicants here today? Do you want to say anything about your application?
I don't really have anything to say, but I am here to answer any questions anyone might have or clarify anything that was unclear.
Cody Flower.
I'm Cody, sorry, I'm the Executive Director of Nerd Mentality.
What is that group exactly?
So Nerd Mentality, we are a nonprofit focused on socialization through recreation. So we're trying to build a space where people can have face-to-face interactions through gaming, so board games, card games, war gaming, maybe a little bit of video games, to get people back into spaces and talking to each other face-to-face.
This is a statewide,
No, we are local.
right here.
It's just us. Yep.
Okay. Well, very good, thank you.
You have plans for the gym?
The gym is under Parks and Rec's use at this point, so we'd be kind of neighbors. We do want to run some combined programming with Parks. I know Stu Spence fairly well, and we already have some ideas floating around for how we can help each other, provide space for some of his summer programs and possibly use his gym for larger programs that we don't have space to accommodate in the main building.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Well, we can invite public testimony. Does anyone want to speak about this application?
I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Do you want us to just state your name for our?
My name is Raymond Klein.
Okay. Would anyone else like to speak?
Yes, my name is Kara Campbell. I have known all of these people here for a few years now through Sojourn, a live action role playing group that is run by many of the same people who are running their mentality. And if anyone is able to build an incredible community space in the Grand, it is these people. I have seen what they're able to do with 2 weekends every summer and the community that they can create, and I believe with this location, and all this nerd mentality could have become something incredible. There's no one I trust more to do this than these people.
Thank you.
How much activity you'll have until 3 a.m.?
3 a.m. is probably going to be a few groups on weekends only. We don't plan to stay that late on weekdays. It'd be mostly Fridays and Saturdays. I think we'd probably have enough to fill 1 to 2 classrooms unless we have programming specifically to, it's like a midnight viewing kind of situation.
Good deal. Well, I won't be there.
That's all right.
Would anyone else like to speak?
I think just a public show of support. Is the main idea.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I would make one further comment regarding this question about late activities. If there are any people who I trust to be able to just kindly but firmly enforce rules and make sure that people are essentially behaving themselves in a time-frame manner, is again these people. There is no one I trust more to create a community space where everyone behaves respectfully and has a great time.
Thank you. All right, commission discussion.
Well, like the first one, it seems very routine and normal, and I don't see any problem.
I think it makes sense. It's a good idea. It's
Sounds
underutilized space.
Good use for the space.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion then?
I move the finding of fact and conclusion set forth in the draft decision order be adopted and that the conditional use permit be, I guess it'll be conditionally approved, right? Yeah, okay.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
You're welcome to stick around or take off. It's up to you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so the last one, we can open the public hearing for the subdivision preliminary plat and variance, file number 01-SUV-25 and 03-VAR-25. We already have the rules of order. Any other declarations for this one? All right, Mike, can we get a staff report?
Yeah, so this subdivision is very similar to the first phase that I think all of you are familiar with. This would have been phase 6, but because their first subdivision came in 5 phases, and they, because of its success, they did all 5 phases in 2. And so this is technically, I guess, a third phase is what they're calling it. It is an entirely new subdivision since it is adjacent, and it's called True Addition, where the first one is True Subdivision. So this is an addition, and this one has. If I keep pointing to scroll on my computer instead of up here. This one here is going to generate a through street, which kind of has a different complication where you're going to have an agenda item next month for a street renaming, and so initially this is True Avenue that served the first subdivision. True Addition creates a loop street, and our code requires those kind of streets to be called loops. And so anyway, so next month you're going to see a renaming of the old subdivision to the loop. But with this application, there are 4, I guess, deviations or kind of a variance piece. The deviation that they're asking for is for a narrower street, similar to what they had in the first one. It is a private road that is going to have dedicated right-of-way, so at least the parking and any kind of obstructions and those sorts of things can be enforced by the city under our right-of-way standards rather than as a private driveway where it's not enforceable. The narrowness is due to the size and shape of the property. They just physically can't put a 60-foot wide right-of-way or a 40-foot wide right-of-way through the property and still have lots to develop. And so they're proposing to narrow this down. The code allows for this deviation subject to your approval. It doesn't require all the justification that a variance has where you have to generate a hardship and consider, a number of different options. It's predominantly, if this is a good idea, then you can support this. And so they're looking at 26-foot wide right-of-way with 2 travel lanes, no parking on the street. In through the Main Street section, they do have, which let me jump to the bottom. So for this variation, they do have a parking lot, just like they did in the first one, where they're taking all of the on-street parking that would be on each side of the street, and they're moving it to a kind of a parking lot at the end, because that's physically what they need to do in order to accommodate the parking. They don't have the space, the right-of-way space, to add that extra 8 feet for on-street. So anyway, that's the deviation they're asking for. The cross-section design that they're looking at is they're planning to have street trees within the front yard of each lot. Stormwater drainage will be a portion of the front yard of each property, so that gutter drains and that stuff would end up going into kind of a bioswale, as well as how the street is designed to sheet flow stormwater. So that's the deviation that's proposed. They have 3 variances proposed. These are setback variant. 2 of them are setback variances. One of them, which is very unique, I was hoping they'd be here to at least have this conversation with you. The first subdivision, they were approved a rear yard setback of 8 feet. And this one, the lots are a little bit shorter because of the way the apparent parcel is narrower. So one of the variances is to have a 73 foot the 74-foot lot depth rather than the 85 required. So with that, they're asking for, so they can be consistent with the homes, they're asking for a rear yard setback of 5 feet, which is similar to what our standard side yard setbacks are. With that, they intend to have a larger side yard on one portion of the property, which if you look at the interior lots here, this one here is a little over 10 feet, which is where the yard would be. In this case, similar to the 8-foot yard that would be in the previous development. And then the other variance they have for a setback is just for one parcel that's on the corner. Just with the rounding of the radius of the corner, it's going to create an 11-foot setback where 15 foot's required for that front yard setback. And then the third variance, which I already mentioned, is that lot depth. So that's what's before you. This development is nearly identical with the exception of the 5-foot setback. It's nearly identical to the first development, and lots are being built. They're selling almost as fast as they're building them. And, so I don't know if having the compatibility and the what if conversation like we had the first round is who's going to buy these? Is this going to be desirable? What are the impacts? Because turns out that it's successful. It's a model that is new to our community and is working. And so anyway, I don't have anything else to add for the staff report, but if you have questions, I'm somewhat familiar with this. I wish the applicant was here for some of this, but.
I have a question. So the bioswales, is there some kind of like deed restriction on them? Like they can't pave it or fill it or anything like that?
That would be something that'd be recommended to have. They do have a homeowner association, so that's maintained. It is something that we do have, in our site plan. But as far as the long-term maintenance of it, I think they actually have an easement that runs through that front yard. But I don't know if there's anything in there for a deed restriction that talks about not filling it in or changing it or altering it.
I thought there was something about maintenance somewhere in here. I remember reading that.
But I think they have, because I think there's an easement over that space. I'm not sure how they're managing that from a deed standpoint, but hopefully it's in the deed restriction. I did get confirmation on the road. We did get comments from our Public Works Department, which, did they get a copy of that?
No, I forgot the copies upstairs. Do you want that?
That's what you forgot up
You
there.
said, no, it's okay.
We'll just go ahead and pass it around. This is the one that,
It does say in their application, a deed restriction will be put on these areas to ensure that future landowners do not elevate the land in this area.
okay, well, good. Well, then that answered my question, or your question. So what I'm passing around are comments from Public Works. The very first comment in there is really the only one that is applicable for the Planning Commission review. And it's a little confusing because Public Works is not thrilled with these private streets that are located within right-of-way. It just adds some complications for them more because there's a perception. When you call it public right-of-way, there's a perception that Public Works is going to maintain that. And so one of the things that we have, which I got confirmation from the developer, is that they do have a road maintenance agreement that goes with each of the properties so that property owners know they're responsible for maintaining
HOA
that.
kind of thing,
What's that?
like a HOA.
Yeah, kind of similar. I don't know how they manage it, but but they're through that maintenance agreement, they're responsible for all maintenance, repairs, and
Snow
replacement. Yeah, for snow removal, for anything that is there, and so that the city has no responsibility or obligation to do anything with that. The only thing that we have responsibilities for are the water and sewer infrastructure that is below that street. But as far as the surface goes, it's 100% private as far as its function and management. And so,
I had another question.
yeah.
It said that lot 19 would be a duplex, but it doesn't show on the plan as anything different from any of the other lots.
Right, it's reflected on the plan as just a single dwelling. but it is their intention. They have, so lot 19 is this corner one. I can't remember what this lot number is way down here at the bottom. If it's like lot 11 or 12, is it 12? Anyway, so they're planning a duplex on each of these corners, and then the rest of the development is all single family. But I wouldn't ask that you put any kind of condition to require it, because if it turns out that it makes more sense for them to put a single family dwelling on there, they meet the density requirement with all single family. They're just proposing a duplex because the lots are a little bit bigger, and they have a demand for at least one duplex. So they were thinking they would just kind of do that as kind of bookends to that back row of properties.
So this addition won't change anything as far as the build out of the subdivision?
Of the first subdivision, you mean?
Yeah, right.
No, so they're actually moving right along, and they're let me go back to the this initial one. So as we look at, you know, this first subdivision, they've kind of already worked through all their building permits on this first group of lots. This last section doesn't show that phase here, but I think there's 3 lots in this lower section that's on this far west side, and they're starting at the bottom and working their way up, and they're thinking that they're going to be up into these lots, which, let me scroll down. Here's your phasing. So this is phase 1, and so they're thinking they're going to be in phase 1 of this development by spring. And so I don't think they're slowing down at all with construction, and they're coming in almost faster than we can get things platted. They look for exceptions to figure out, how can I get a building permit on this lot because my surveyor isn't fast enough, and I'm waiting for the paving contractor to be available, and so we're doing whatever we can to try to keep the ball rolling for them, as they're waiting on other, you know, folks outside of their control to finish pieces. But to answer your question, is it's not going to slow down the first development at all, and they're thinking they're going to be sailing through this by spring and maybe even finished with the second phase by fall.
So with the shorter depth on the addition, the homes are going to be essentially the same as in the subdivision, is that correct? Same size, same appearance?
Yeah, very similar. They might be, the new ones coming in, at least lots 20 through 24, might be a little bit shorter, just because they're dealing with shorter lots, you know, the 73 versus an 85-foot lot. But so I think these homes are a little bit shorter. I think these are a 2-bedroom model, if I remember right, where the existing subdivision are all 3 bedrooms. And but the lots in the back, these are really deep, and so these ones are all going to be their standard 3-bedroom model with larger lots or larger yards.
Mm-hmm.
Not much, but
The last thing I had in mind, the 16th Street, if I'm remembering correctly, the city has planned to improve 16th Street. I mean, get it widened out to the way it's supposed to be, curbing, sidewalks. Is that going to impact in any way what they're trying to do?
it won't impact them, but it will. They need to get their utilities stubbed in, because one of Public Works requirements are that we're not cutting the street. And so, so at whatever point Public Works gets to that street, we just need to make sure that that's part of the Public Works comments that are going to the developer in that letter or that email I passed out. I think it's the second comment, was that all of I got it here. So all of their water sewer infrastructure for both phases have to go in at phase one. Mostly because they can't really serve phase one without going through phase two, but also because they're not going to cut the street. You know, so once they get to that 16th Street project, they're not going to cut the street for anybody for 5 years. And so anyway, so they really try to plan ahead on development. Otherwise, folks are on hold for a while.
What if somebody has a problem with a sewer line or what have you?
Well, I think they have exceptions, you know, for catastrophic emergencies. But if somebody comes in and decides, I want to divide my property, or I want to build a house on a vacant piece, if they didn't plan ahead, then they're kind of stuck waiting.
So that, there's, I don't completely understand this stuff, system development charges, right, that go to things like parks.
We only, at this point, we only have one, which is a park system development charge. And so for each dwelling that comes in, we collect a $525 fee that then goes into the kind of like, I call it an earmark savings account for park expansion.
Oh, and so having higher density like this puts more money into, into that, that's good. Because
Yeah.
that's what's lacking, of course, with this is any kind of green space.
Yeah, so it's kind
lacking, but reduced.
yeah, and so it's going to be kind of up to Stu and and the Parks Commission to kind of figure out what do we do with these resources and where do we build additional parks and
Yeah, I was thinking.
where do we expand?
All right, any other commission discussion about this one?
No,
Seems consistent with the other.
yep, we had it already.
Yeah, for sure, we need housing,
See,
and
that-
clearly
that's
it's
not-
popular, so, I'm in support. Does someone wanna make a motion, and do we need to break this motion up, cause I know there were like several pieces.
I think you only need to break it up if you disagree with either the deviation or you disagree with the three variances. But if you're in support of the whole package, you can just approve. You can just approve everything in one motion.
I'm ready. I move that the finding of fact and conclusions set forth in the draft decision order be adopted and the proposed subdivision and variances be approved.
So,
You got it.
okay.
Now,
You could have.
I went with you.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Alright, motion passes. It's like really quick on these, I
Wow.
thought that this would be a longer evening.
Yeah, I did too. I thought there'd be a lot more discussion.
Alright, do we have any city planner comments?
Yeah, the only comment is we do have a meeting next month. I think Dave is going to be absent.
I'm not actually sure. My plans are fluid right now.
So you just show up. We'll make a packet for you. You'll just show up. But anyway, we just have one item, so it should be pretty quick, and all it's just on the street renaming that I mentioned earlier. So unless somebody submits an application like by this Friday, they're likely not going to be on the agenda. So so one item, so it should be a fairly short meeting. Yeah, and other than that, I don't have anything else to share.
Okay, thanks. Any commission comments? Alright, close the meeting.